Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Betvach Shvuah Tov. We are learning Mishnah Shabbos. We are on Perek Chaf Gimel, chapter 23, Mishna Beis, Mishnah 2. I'd like to dedicate this morning's learning memory of my mother, Mrs. Shalamas Rabinowitz, Shlamas Basa Rav Yaakov Eliezer. Okay. Maina Adam es Archav es Par Paraisa Mipiv Avalamin Aksav. That means a person can count his guests and his delicacies by mouth, but not from writing. It means he wrote a list, and on the list he has a guest list, and he may have in his list, he has a guest list. Now he checks out. He has X amount of delicacies, X amount of desserts, let's call them, for an X amount of guests. So he's going to go ahead. He wants to know it's Shabbos now. And he's going to have a bunch of people come over. He's going to invite a bunch of people to come over. And he has a list already from before Shabbos that he wrote. But now he wants to basically read the list, right? See, I have this many guests and I have this many desserts. Maybe if let's say he finds out some of the desserts went bad, he can't invite as many people. Maybe if he has less people that he realizes now on Shabbos is going to come, he doesn't need as many desserts. But he's got these lists. So we are concerned that if he's going to be reading from a written list, and he realizes he doesn't need as many, he's going to erase from the list, right? If I don't need, meaning as they bring down here to explain, what are you going to do with this list? You're going to look at the list, and you're going to give the list to your messenger to go and tell the people to come. But if now you don't have enough, let's say desserts, right? You're going to decide, okay, I'm not going to invite this guy. So you may erase it, right? Because you don't want to give his name to the messenger, and the messenger goes and invites him. He's not supposed to be invited. So the concern here is that when he's basically taking count of his desserts and his guests, and you're doing it from a list, we're afraid you may come to erase something from the list if things are going to change. And therefore, if there's no list, or you're not reading from a list. You're just basically, taking count of everything. You're doing it all orally, then already it's not a problem. But from a list, we have a concern that realizing that things are going to be changing, that therefore you may come to erase. Okay. So again, on the bottom, they say your concern is either if you realize you don't have enough food, you're going to erase somebody from the list. If all of a sudden now you, if let's say you realize that maybe not as many people are going to show up, you'll erase from your delicacy list, whatever it may be. And therefore we say from a list, you cannot do it, but orally you can. Next. And you can cast lots at the table with your children or with the members of your household. Okay. That means like this. It seems like there was a practice that, there's portions to be handed out. And how do they decide who gets which portion? They drew a lottery. That's what they did. It seems to have been a common custom. Now, it would seem that, and maybe it was just meant to make things easier. But we're talking about here right now, where all the portions by size are the same. They're all the same size. Maybe one's a little more well done, less well done. One piece can be tastier, a little less tastier, and that's why we're drawing lots. But the main point right now to bear in mind is that size-wise they're the same, and whatever difference there is in why you're drawing lots isn't that much of a difference to make a big fuss over. We say you can do this with the members of your household, whether it be your children, your servants. You can do the lottery with them. But if, let's say, a bunch of people got together, not family members, a bunch of people got together, and they all kind of chipped in for a meal, right? And now everybody at the meal has to get their portion. Now, if I already basically put money into this, and we're not family members, then, even if the pieces are the same, people are going to be, I'm not so sure my piece is the same. And they're going to start measuring it and start weighing it to make sure that I'm getting my fair share. But you can't do that on Shabbos. You can't measure on Shabbos. You can't weigh on Shabbos. You can't start making deals, all right, I'll take this piece, but you have to whatever, right? All these kinds of things. which apparently can happen when it's not family members getting together for a meal, whether it be Shabbos, whether it be Yontif. And therefore, no lottery drawing. You can't do the lottery system. How are you going to do it? You're going to work it out somehow or another. But you're not.
There's no money involved.
There's no money presently involved. The assumption is, though, that either they all paid for the meal, right, together. That's the assumption. I'm assuming that's the assumption right now, because as we're going to see, it's going to make a difference in a different part. But you're all having a meal together. The assumption is that you've all chipped in for the meal. And my piece, every piece may seem the same, but people aren't going to accept it so fast. And therefore, no lottery drawing when it comes to people just getting together. If it's the members of your household, they're not going to make a fuss about it. They're not going to make a fuss about it. And the truth is, as we're going to see, that they're not going to make a fuss about it if the sizes are different. Even if the sizes would be different, one big piece, little piece, big piece, the members of the household aren't going to make a fuss. Okay? We'll see a little bit more about that. Then the Mishnah continues. But you have to make sure that when you are doing the lottery, that you're not setting up the lottery in a way that that one person based on lottery will win a large piece, and another person will win a small piece. Meaning, if the lottery basically is you've got different size pieces, okay, who gets the big pieces, who gets the small pieces, and the lottery works to determine that it says you cannot do mishum kuvia, because this is gambling. Now let's back up. The Bartenura explains that there's words missing here in the Mishnah, and the way it works is like this. If you are drawing lots with your household members, with your family, then it doesn't make a difference. Big pieces, small pieces, doesn't make a difference. Now, on Shabbos, if you're not dealing with Shabbos or Yontif, if you're not dealing with family members, you can't do lottery for anything. If it's during the week, where if the guy decides, I want to measure it, I want to weigh it, so go ahead. It's not Shabbos. Go ahead and do it. So if you do the lottery system, again, the pieces are all the same. You're doing a lottery system during the week, no problem. But if the lottery system that you're using during the week with other people is where you're going to decide who gets the big pieces, who gets the small pieces, then you can't do that even during the week. Now, what's the problem? Okay, so I'm going to read it to you. Okay. If the portions are of different sizes, the purpose of drawing lots will be to determine who will get a large portion and who will get a smaller portion. Thus, each person is at risk of losing money because each paid an equal amount for the meal and yet might receive a smaller share. That's a very important detail here. When a person agrees to participate in such a lottery, meaning we all, put in money, right, for the meal, and now we're drawing lots. Who's going to get the big piece, get the small pieces? When a person agrees to participate in such a lottery, he does so thinking that he will win a large portion, right? When you gamble, you think, oh, I'm going to get the big, I'm going to be the winner. Okay. He does so thinking that he will win a large portion. He does not fully accept the possibility that he might end up with a small one. Thus, his agreement to surrender a large portion and receive a small one instead was not made with his full intent. This is a form of asmachta. Asmachta is a term used in the Gemara to mean a monetary commitment made without expecting that it would have to be fulfilled. And asmachta is not legally binding. Therefore, when the winner takes a large portion, he's committing a rabbinically forbidden type of theft, since the loser never fully agreed to surrender it to him. That's what it means, gambling, when we talk about gambling or asmachta in halacha. There's an idea that when you're gambling, when you're, again, I put in my money and maybe I'm going to win, maybe I'm going to lose. Losing is not what you really are focused on. And therefore, that's not so you don't have full intent to lose. And to take and just, okay, I lost. You don't have full intent for that. Midrabanan, this is theft. That means the person who now wins is basically taking something that the other guy didn't really agree to. So midrabanan, rabbinically, it's theft. So you can't do it. So during the week, you had these people. How many chipped in for a meal? There's big pieces and small pieces. I'm going to draw lots. Can't do it. That's called gambling. How are you going to divide it? You're going to work it out, but no drawing lots. You got to work it out, whatever way you work it out, but no drawing lots. Now, if it's your family members, right, we're not concerned about this gambling. You know why? Because there's no shirt off their back. They're not paying for it. So there's no theft problem. So if one could complain, he got a bigger piece than me. All right, complain. But it's not theft. It's not theft. And it's not theft. And again, and even on Shabbos, the bigger places, no one's going to start saying, oh, that's not fair. I'm going to measure it. That doesn't happen. And on Shabbos, also, if it's bigger pieces, smaller pieces, again, there's no measuring issues. Maybe they'll fight, maybe they'll complain, but that's not the issue. But even during the week, if you're dealing with other people and it's different sizes, and you're drawing a lot to determine that is going to be a problem of asmachta, of gambling. The wording that's used in the Mishnah, mishum kuvia, I believe means dice. You know, that's the real gambling situation, right? That's the real gambling. No one's going to call this, say, I put in money for the meal and I get a big piece, you get a small piece. No one would call that gambling. But the logic behind it is the same. And therefore, drawing lots to determine who's going to get the bigger piece or smaller pieces would be a form of gambling, and midrabanan, that is not permissible. Now, Mishnah concludes, umatilin chalashim ala kadashim b'yamtif avalay ala manos. Kayanim may also draw lots for portions of meat from offerings that were brought on Yontif. Meaning we know that, let's say that, I don't know why it's only on Yontif. Why are we not talking about Shabbos? I'm not sure. Maybe Shabbos is different. They say it's Yontif. It says, Mishna says Yontif. I just don't know why it's only on Yontif. Not sure. Maybe on Shabbos you wouldn't do this. Because maybe you'll come to measure. Maybe on Yontif, no, Yontif can't do measuring either. I'm not sure why it says Yontif. Umetilin chalashim ala kadoshim Yontif. The Kohanim, right, also divided up portions, and apparently they used to fight over who gets which portion. So how do they determine who gets what? Drew lots. So we say that the Kohanim on Yontif can draw lots. They can do it on Yontif. We said before, start drawing lots. It can turn into this and can turn into that. And we say, no, the Chachamim said, for the Kohanim, we're going to let it. To prevent any kind of problems with the Kohanim quarreling, we're going to let it. We let them draw the lots. It's not going to be a Yontif problem. It's not seemingly going to be it's not a gambling problem. They didn't put any money into it. So seemingly it wouldn't be a gambling problem. It would be the Shabbos Yontif problem that maybe they'll start measuring and weighing. So we say to allow them to draw lots for the sacrifice that were brought on Yontif, and now they get their portions of it. We let them draw lots. But we not let them do that for the portions. Portions means from the meat that was offered before Yontif. Meaning, sometimes on Yontif, right, there was meat offered before Yontif, and there's still pieces of meat to be eaten. So we say like this: if you're drawing lots for the portions of that day's sacrifice of Yontif, you can draw lots. But to use the lottery system to divide up the portions from the previous day's sacrifices, which would have been before Yontif, then we say, then you can't do the lottery system. Not for the portions from yesterday. Why? Because you should have done it yesterday. You could have done it yesterday. You could have done it yesterday. And since you could have done it yesterday, we say, well, if you could have done it yesterday, you can't do it today on Yontif. If you could have done it before Yontif, you can't do it on Yontif. But the sacrifices that were brought on Yontif, those we allow the Kohanim to do the lottery system. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and have a very happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Rabbi. Happy Hanukkah.